time difference is not the worst thing when traveling and moving from country to country. Much more troublesome is the difference of contexts, ignorance of local realities and cultural features. We have collected some stories of discouraging encounters between foreigners and Russian life. In the early 90s, a very young athlete from the United States, almost a teenager, came to visit my friends, a young couple. At night, the guests found that they pee in a bucket. It was a private house in a very private area. There was not even a single house around with a toilet pit. The night bucket was emptied every morning outside into the hole in the ground, and the pit outside was just closed with doors looking like a well. The city child absolutely refused to pee or shit in this bucket. Probably he was embarrassed that then this bucket will be taken out for him by alive people. The boy was even ready to go to the bushes, but on that territory there were only very weak bushes of pricky raspberry. I had to take the guest secretly to pee on the neighbor's side. There were some bushes there. Unfortunately, there was a dog too. In the middle of the interesting process, the dog noticed the dude and ran barking towards the bushes. The poor guy finished pouring on the run, and his pants had to be washed. In 1995, a 6-year-old niece came to visit from Germany with her parents. The first days she kept asking to show how we walk on walls. We couldn't figure out why for a long time. Then we realized the child saw the carpet on the wall for the first time in her life, and here for the first time she saw a broom. She had big surprised eyes, questioning what is it. We explained her. The child had thought for a while, and then it dawned on her, and she shouted out a German word. My sister found it in a dictionary later. It was the word pomelo, the one that witches fly with. My husband is a Turkish builder by profession. When he came to Moscow for the first time in the late 80s, he looked very strangely all the time and was always wandering around the apartment. Then it turned out that he was looking for hidden doors in one-room apartments, thinking that there were more secret rooms. Because you can't have a whole family living only in one room. He was also struck by the tradition to say toasts before eating. You could not just sit, eat and drink in Russia, but you must make a speech, and everyone around should listen before everybody starts eating and drinking. They never did that in Turkey. What for Russians is life, for Germans is depression. My husband gave for a rent an apartment to a young German student. The apartment had some problems. There was no water in the tub at all, and in the kitchen and in the toilet tank a thin trickle of running water. And the hot water was very rusty. When we lived in this apartment, we went to visit our parents to take a bath or to wash clothes. So the German kid actually had to do something like that. Once I caught him washing his socks in a basin. He said, "You have a very developed mutual assistance between people here in Russia. In Germany, it is impossible to imagine that people would come to friends or relatives to wash. I think the world is going downhill and you Russians are ahead of everyone." Less than a month later, he moved out of this apartment. And after a couple of years, we met him again, and he said that he got used to Russia. And he said, "Only when I get drunk I try to put bottles under the table in orderly manner. I don't like mess." It was 1993. Some German students came to our exchange school. We took guests for a walk and then fed them at McDonald's, the one on Pushkinskaya Street, the legendary one. It was all right for them, but we were just children of not the richest parents. And in fact, we, for the money we had in our pockets, could just look at the hamburgers and be happy for that. At one point, one of the German guys said, "Girls, I don't know what's going on here, but you look very hungry," and bought a hamburger for everyone. In the 90s, my mother's friend from Sweden came to visit her. He was very fond of bicycling and tourism, and of course they took him for a walk around the city. Unfortunately, the foreigner was very inquisitive. He wanted to take a bus ride around Penza. Sven was honestly warned that he wouldn't like it on the bus, but he insisted. We got into Lea's bus cattle truck. The smell inside made the Swedish guy to feel very sick. Then we waited for Icarus, took it. It was very hot inside. The dust got inside through the holes everywhere. Sven made the 5 stops, then asked his friend to get off the bus and just walk him to the center. My husband, a Greek, came to Moscow for the first time in November. In the evening we went out for a walk in the park next to the house. The day before I warned him, "You just don't be surprised by anything." We go through the park. It was quite cold, a real minus below zero. A young mother walks past us with a stroller. My husband notices her, turns pale, but turns away his head not to look at the young mother, pretending that he didn't notice anything. In Greece, if the temperature is below +10, babies are not allowed to walk outside at all. Then we reached the playground, where a dozen different-sized toddlers were chilling around. The husband exhaled with relief and says, I thought that mother in the park with the stroller was crazy, because only a mad woman would drag a baby outside almost at night when it was so cold outside. And now I see that it's normal for Russia." I ask, "Why you didn't tell me anything? You said not to be surprised by anything." A girl ran up to me in the Moscow metro with such a desperate expression on her face that I even jumped away and only then realized that she was telling me, "Do you speak English? Do you speak English?" She asked me in English. "How could I help you?" I asked her, and she almost burst into tears. The girl was Italian and could not understand the system of transfers at this metro station. She approached too many people asking this question, "Do you speak English?" Automatically people said, yes I do, and ran away. A Canadian who came to live in Russia was very surprised that in stores change is never given in the hands, and the people do not want to take money from the hands. The sellers point a finger at a special saucer on the table, and the Canadian asked anxiously if there was an epidemic of some disease. This story took place in 2009 in one of the hotels in city of Khabarovsk. One of the guests, a Japanese woman, complained to the administration that there was a broken phone in her room. She was very pissed off about that. The phone was a disc one. She poked the finger into the holes on the disc and could not understand why the number was not dialed.